Okay, so at the request of some people that I was working on my rag rug, my braided rag rug, and people wanted to know how to do it. So I'm going to give you, there's 3 parts to it. The first part is making the strips out of your fabric or your old clothes, which is what I chose to do because I'm poor and I really just didn't have money for new materials when I started this. So I used old stained clothes, things that had rips in them, whatever, things I'd outgrown, you name it, I used it. So what you do, what I have here is a pant leg from an old pair of leggings. You can use anything, t-shirts, this works for the same thing. It works for pretty much anything that is kind of tubular, like dresses, skirts, t-shirts, all sorts of things. So this, I just cut off one of the legs, and I cut off the bottom, and I cut off the top edges. What you do is you get it laying down flat. This is not particularly flat because it's been wadded up for years, but whatever. And you take this bottom edge that's laying on the table close to you, and you fold it up almost to the top, but not quite to the top of it. So there's this little, it's hard to see on the, I'll show you with the, I'll put a brighter color piece between the edges of the back and the front so that you can see a little bit what we're doing here. Okay. So you see how there's a little bit of an overlap right here from the fold. The fold edge is closest to you, and then this side has about, I'd say like an inch or two of space that's left over. So I'm going to take this away for now. What you do is you're starting at one side or the other. If it's easier for you to start at the right, you make cuts from the side that's closest to you to the edge of this top fold over piece, not all the way to the other edge, because that will just give you a whole bunch of rings. But I'll show you what you do. So you try, if you're more accurate than say I am, which I'm not very accurate at all because I'm like, oh, let's just do it. Anyway, so what you do is you start at this edge, the folded edge is right next to you, and you cut all the way over to the end of that one. And then you cut them all equally. So they're about the same width of strips all the way until you're done with the whole length of your piece that you're working with, right? Okay, so I'm just going along here. There's nothing super exciting. This part is just repetition until you get to the end. So then there's like, okay, so these are all about the same. Now, granted, you can cut them accurately if you have one of those like quilting pads and stuff like that. Whatever, that's just not me. So you go like that. You got all the way till the end. Let me just get this going. Still not there. Got through all the layers there. A couple more to go, and then we'll be at the top of the pant leg. And then we can work on turning it into a strip. Right to there. Okay. Now you shake it out if it's a t-shirt or whatever, and it's going to have a bunch of these little hangy down things, strips. What I want you to do is you take your hand, you peel open the edge right here, and you just kind of put your arm through the part that you left uncut. That was between the folds, the end of the top, end of the bottom of the end of the top fold, and the uncut back edge. And so let me just get this way, all the way in there. You just stick your arm all the way through those little loops, basically. That's what they are right now, but they're attached through this part right here. So when you get to the end, you hold it on your arm like this, and then you start out here at the end, and you cut in across the diagonal to that first spot, and that makes the start of your strip. Right now, at each following loop, what you're going to do is you're going to start at this next one on the side closest to you, this next little notch that you cut earlier. You start there, and you're going to go to the next notch on the other side. So it's going to be kind of at an angle like this, and then that comes down, and it's still one big long piece of strip. So every time, the next one on the one closest, the next cut on the one closest to you, over to the next one on the other side closest, farthest from you. Same one every time. Start from this line, go over to that line, move on to the next one. All the way until you are done and you've cut through each one of these things. So this goes like straight over to there. And this one will go to there. So on, almost to the end of this one, and then we'll have a very long strip of fabric. You want to try to cut them all about the same width, as long as the materials are of similar thicknesses. Because if one material, say like denim, like a blue jean that you're cutting up, is super thick, and then you're also cutting a very thin layer of like this legging material is very, very it's very thin, right? So all of that produces one very, very long single strip of fabric from, that was just the pant leg of one set of leggings. So I'm going to pause this now, and then I'll start up with the second video in a second.